Next speaker, Bobby Nahum, followed by Katie Lyons, and then Priscilla West.
Bobby Nahum, East Call Street. I'm asking that the tracks at the 5 high schools be open to the public again. Fencing can be put around the fields on the inside of the tracks to keep people off the fields while allowing access to the tracks. The tracks were open to the public for decades, provided the public with a safe place to exercise. In the decades that the tracks were open, it was clear that the liability from keeping the tracks open to the public was almost non-existent. One of the main reasons, though, that was provided as justification for putting in the AstroTurf fields was that the fields were a smart investment and that they would pay for themselves in as little as 10 years. The records I obtained from Leon County Schools from a FOIA request do not support that claim. The average cost of each field at the public high schools was nearly $1.8 million each. The average annual savings and maintenance costs going from grass to AstroTurf was only $30,615 per year. The number of years it will take to recoup the upfront costs of the new field from the lower annual maintenance of the AstroTurf is 58.7 years. In other words, the break-even point in these fields is almost 60 years. The fields only have a 20-year useful life, so the cost of the fields will never fully be recovered. Not a smart financial decision. There were several misleading public comments made by certain athletic directors and by the former County Director of Student Activities pertaining to the financial benefits of the AstroTurf fields. These comments were made in interviews with local news outlets. We were told that the fields would pay for themselves in 10 to 13 years. It was actually 60 years. The costs of the AstroTurf fields were grossly underestimated. For instance, we were told that the cost of the field at Leon High School would be $900,000, when in fact it was $1.7 million. Also, the cost of maintaining the grass fields was said to be $80,000 a year per field, yet public records showed the grass fields only cost an average of $35,000 a year to maintain. Also, there was no mention that the public would be closed off from the tracks. I would call this a live omission. There are also years of data showing that athletes are more prone to be injured on AstroTurf fields compared to grass fields. This subject was never disclosed to the taxpayers or debated in a public forum. Had the taxpayers been given full and complete truth about the AstroTurf fields and been told that our access to the tracks would be cut off once the AstroTurf fields were in, the public would have not consented to this, and there would have been an outpouring of protests against them. I'm asking for a course correction. Open the fields to the public. If you need to put a fence around the fields on the inside of the tracks to keep people off the fields, then do that. Also, we need answers to questions. What financial analysis was completed when considering these AstroTurf fields? How many bids were obtained? Why did the fields cost so much more than we were promised? Why did the athletic directors make public statements claiming the fields would pay for themselves in 10 to 13 years when the break-even point was really 60 years? Why was the public not told that we would be locked out of the tracks as part of this deal? Why are we now being told that public access to the tracks is a liability issue when we have decades of precedent showing that public access to the tracks does not present a material liability?
Thank you for your
I'd
comment.
like questions to those answers.